Today we're going to be talking about how to deal with insecurities. Okay, by the way, hello, hi. As you know by now, this is Glory and you're watching Discovery. So, insecurities. I found that a lot of people are insecure, including myself. Now, my major insecurity, like you guys, I'm sure you people are tired of hearing this now, but most of you that have been following me for a while know that I have a skin condition called psoriasis, and that it affects 80 to 90% of my skin. And as most of you know, I wasn't born with it, so it's something I developed like in my early to mid 20s, and that made me incredibly insecure about my looks. So not only was I curvaceous, as they say, but then I now had nyama nyama skin. Oh, so I was very insecure about my skin for a very long time. But I'm also aware that insecurity is not just a physical thing. So people are insecure about the kind of school they went to, about their degree, about their jobs, about the amount of money they have in their accounts. Like everybody is insecure about something. And I'm the self-love queen. I've been preaching self-love for as long as I know, as long as I could talk, as long as I knew what self-love was, rather. And a lot of people say to me, but yeah, what is self-love? You just tell people to love themselves. How can people love themselves when they're insecure? So today I'm going to be sharing tips on how to overcome insecurities. I think my first step for overcoming insecurity, no matter what the insecurity is, whether it's physical, emotional, whatever it is to understand why you are insecure. And I know that sounds really strange, but it's true because a lot of people are insecure because people have told them to be insecure. So maybe you never realized you had a big head and you've been walking around with your hair packed all the back to the back all your life. And then one day somebody says, your head is big. And then from that moment, you're insecure that your head is big. Or somebody says to you, why do you talk like you have H factor? And you've been talking for the last 30 years and you never knew you had H factor. But until that person told you, then you now became insecure about your speech pattern. So I think understand why you're insecure. Is it because somebody has told you that you should be insecure, or the way you look is funny or it's not acceptable? And the reason why I say this is because once you understand what is making you insecure, is it somebody else or is it you personally that is unhappy with a particular trait or the way you look, then we can now begin to tackle it. If it is somebody else, my advice is to forget it. You can never please anybody. So, but that's a vlog for another day, how to forget about people's rubbish statements. But if it's because you yourself you're unhappy about something, or people have been telling you that you're a certain way all your life, and now it's stuck with you, first of all, realize is this something, do you even care? So for example, I had spots on my legs for a very, very long time, and I used to wear black tights. And then one day I just thought, I'm tired of wearing black tights. I started showing my spots. And people used to say, your legs. And I'm like, yeah, I have spots. Because I realized that I didn't care that I had spots on my legs. And I wanted to wear skirts. I went 7 years without wearing skirts. Or shorts. I was always in trousers for 7 years. And then one day I realized that I actually did not care. So I started showing my spots. And if you don't like it, you can close your eye. Do you understand? So first of all, understand why you are insecure and if it's other people making you insecure. The second thing is, once you realize that, okay, so for example, maybe you're insecure about the kind of school you went to or that, that sort of thing. Then realize, is this something you can change? Is this something you actually have control over? And if this is something you want to change. So for example, if you're insecure that maybe, your first degree, you had a third class, and every time you go for an interview, anytime they ask you, what degree did you graduate with? You are like, oh my God, here we go again, third class. Then maybe you want to think about doing a postgraduate diploma, or you want to think about doing some certifications. So when they ask you that question, you can say, I graduated with a third class, but I also have this, that, and the other, So that's another way that you can, look at, I guess my point is, look at, is this something you can control? Is this something you can change? If it's not something you can change, there's this prayer by St. Francis. I think I've said it on one of my vlogs before. God help me to know the difference between what I have control over and what I don't have control over, and help me to know the difference. Paraphrased. So the things you can't control, let it go. I know it sounds very simple to say, but you won't kill yourself. You can't. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. But I would say another thing I always say to people is focus on your strengths. So, for example, sometimes, not every time, but sometimes I tend to be insecure about my weight. But I do believe that I have a talent when it comes to speaking in front of the camera. I'm very comfortable in front of the camera and that sort of thing. So I'm focusing on my strength. I'm not focusing on my weight. I know that as you're looking at me in the camera, I look overweight, but I'm hoping that you are listening to what I'm saying instead of looking at me or looking at how I'm looking or whatever the English is. So yeah, so lead from your strengths. Don't always feel like you are bringing your weakness to the table, because I feel like a lot of people are always, they think, oh, I want to do this, but but I'm insecure about the way I look. Oh, I want to learn how to swim, but I'm insecure about my body. Oh, I want to go for this job, but I'm insecure because I have had a third class. Or, whatever the case is. I think lead from the point of your strength. Why do you want that new job? Why do you think you deserve it? Is it because you think you actually, you know how to do the strategy, you feel you're qualified, you have the relevant experience to go for the job? So lead from the point of your strength. And then I think another thing about insecurities is that you always feel you're alone. You always feel like, maybe sometimes when you enter a room, you feel like maybe you are the dullest in the room, you are the fattest in the room, you are the unprettiest in the room, or whatever the case is. It's not true. Everybody is insecure about something. So, actually, we are all in good company when it comes to insecurity. Like, so don't feel, because sometimes, you feel depressed. It's only me this is only me. Everybody's insecure. Just that some people's insecurities, as they say, maybe it's a bit more obvious than other people. But the truth is, the person that is standing beside, next to you is probably insecure about something else as well. So don't feel alone. And then I'd also say know your trigger points, because sometimes insecurity can feel like a weight that is dumped on you. So, for example, for me, if I'm somewhere and people are talking about the latest diet, immediately I leave. Immediately, like I don't wait. Like, or either I tell them, or somebody says, Gloria, have you heard about something? I was like, oh, I really don't feel like talking about weight today. Because I know that that's my trigger point. I know that immediately we start talking about weight and who has gained weight and whose waist is over 40 inches, I know that I'm going to be depressed. Okay, so like for me, a huge trigger point is when people start talking about the right age to have a child or the right age to get married and all of that. Immediately, I don't even entertain it. Like the minute you start saying, oh, by a certain age, if you start having children, it's very dangerous. Immediately, I cut the conversation. I'm like, guys, I don't want to talk about it. Or if it's somewhere where I can't control the conversation, I leave. So understand your trigger point. Especially if it's something you can't control, because why am I talking about something I can't control? And then finally, I would say is be gentle with yourself. I think as human beings, we are so harsh with ourselves. Like I've said this before, like we say things about ourselves that we wouldn't entertain somebody else saying about us. So if you are insecure about something, it's no good punishing yourself daily about it. Like, if you can change it, if you have the power to change it, then do so. But if you don't, like I said before, lead from your strengths. Know what your strengths are and go according to your strengths instead of always bringing weaknesses to the table. And be patient with yourself. Understand that it takes time to turn the head of insecurity. I hope I've been helpful. If I have, or even if I haven't, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. You can always email me on glory@inspiredbyglory.com. I always reply, even if it takes me a few days to do so, but I always reply. Thank you so much for watching, and until next week, it will be me, Glory, on Discovery. Bye.